How do you like that? How do you like that? I better start recording on this end. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the GoldFish Report. I'm your host and researcher, Louisa. This is GoldFish Report number 575, and it's Saturday, September 26, 2020. This is interesting. We are actually live streaming on YouTube right now. Hi, everybody. I'm glad to be back. I guess our suspension period is over with for tonight. Interesting. I just, for the hell of it, tried it to see if we were ready to restream again, and it looks like we're out of YouTube jail. So how nice is that? Um, Probably nobody's getting a notification, but that's okay. Excuse me. First hour tonight is going to be dedicated to our POTUS report. This is week 190. But I am personally, hi everybody, thanks for being with me. I am personally having a crisis at this time with just a personal crisis, let's just say that. And I'm going to talk a little bit about it in the second hour, but I'm only going to continue the second hour on Ascension Radio. So I won't continue on YouTube, okay? Because some things we can't talk about here. Thanks everybody. Yeah, we were in YouTube prison. We were in YouTube jail for 3 weeks. So I'm going to do the POTUS report the best that I can. I'm not really speaking really well tonight. There's just something that has really disturbed my soul in such a deep, profound way that I'm ready to like break down in tears, to be honest. So let's move along. I hope everybody can bear with me tonight. It's it's a tough day. Okay, earlier this week, sorry. Earlier this week, the president signed an executive order. I'm going to screen share it. When I'm screen sharing, I can't see the live chat, so not until I take the screen off of screen share. So what we have is an executive order on combating race and sex stereotyping. This is to promote economy and efficiency in federal contracting, to promote unity in the federal workforce, and to combat offensive and anti-American race and sex stereotyping and scapegoating. I'm sorry, scapegoating. So you can come and take a look at this. It's an executive order. The purpose of this is from the battlefield of Gettysburg to the bus boycott in Montgomery and to the Selma to Montgomery marches. Heroic Americans have valiantly risked their lives to ensure that their children would grow up in a nation living out its creed, expressed in the Declaration of Independence. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. It was this belief in the inherent equality of every individual that inspired the founding generation to risk their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor to establish a new nation, unique among the countries of the world. President Abraham Lincoln understood that this belief is the electric cord that links the hearts of patriotic and liberty-loving people, no matter their race or country of origin. It is the belief that inspired the heroic Black soldiers of the 54th Massachusetts Infantry Regiment to defend that same union at great cost in the Civil War. And it is what has inspired Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. to dream that his children would one day not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. Okay, so because many people are pushing different vision of America that is grounded in hierarchies based on collective social and political identities rather than in the inherent and equal dignity of every person as an individual. This destructive ideology is grounded in misrepresentations of our country's history and its role in the world. Although presented as new and revolutionary, they resurrect the discredited notions of the 19th century's apologists for slavery, who, like President Lincoln's rival Stephen Douglas, maintained that our government was made of the white basis by white men for the benefit of white men. Our founding documents rejected these racialized views of America, which were soundly defeated on the blood-stained battlefields of the Civil War. Yet they are now being repackaged and sold as cutting-edge insights. They are designed to divide us and to prevent us from uniting as one people in pursuit of one common destiny for our great country. And it's unfortunate that this malign ideology is now migrating from the fringes of America's society and threatens to infect core institutions of our country. Instructors and materials teaching that men and members of certain races, as well as our most vulnerable institutions, are inherently sexist and racist, are appearing in workplace diversity trainings across the country, even in components of the federal government and among federal contractors. So I'm not going to go into all of the details. There's a lot to talk about here, but this is, let me just move through this. This is quite a long executive order, and it's very detailed. So the contractor shall not use any workplace training that inculcates in its employees any form of race or sex stereotyping or any form of race or sex scapegoating, including the concepts. And this is what we were talking about last week. What were the terms? I don't remember all the terms exactly. But this is a very long, very detailed, and basically it's that you can't go in, especially if you're a government agency, and you can't teach. Hi everybody, nice to see you all there. I'm so happy you all joined me again tonight. Hold on, I just want to say hello to everybody because we've been in YouTube jail for a while. So just to recap, the first hour is going to be our week 190 POTUS report, and the second hour we will be doing only on Ascension Radio live. So please go to Ascension Radio at the second hour at the top of 9 o'clock. Yeah, you can listen on our website. I'm sorry, Ascension Radio just posted that you can listen on their website at Studio One, and I'll put can you put the link in there, Ascension Radio? Thank you guys. I missed all of you too. I truly do. I know. I am really in a crisis, a personal crisis I'm having right now, and it's it's a very tough time for me. So anyway, let's move along because I don't want to talk about me. The second hour, you can listen to in part what's happening. But I'm not going to talk about it in this first hour because this is the POTUS report. Okay. Because I want everybody to get their POTUS news, and that's what we're doing here. So this is a very extensive executive order, and you should come and take a look at this. Yeah, so basically there's not a government agency that's allowed to teach any kind of racism whatsoever, or any bias towards any gender or anything like that. Okay, so who needs to deal with that, right, folks? Who needs to deal with that in the workplace? Don't we have enough? So so that was the executive order, and here is a little bit more outline on that. So Promoting unity, President Donald Trump is taking action to promote unity in the federal workforce by combating harmful and offensive race and sex stereotyping and scapegoating. The president signed an executive order to end training sessions based on race and sex stereotyping and scapegoating in the federal workforce, the uniformed services, and among federal contractors. This order will prohibit federal agencies and federal contractors from conducting training that promotes race stereotyping, for example, by portraying certain races as oppressors by virtue of their birth. This damaging ideology causes great division and is rooted in misrepresentations about human nature, our history, our founding principles, and our nation's unique role in the world. Research shows that blame-focused diversity training reinforces biases and decreases opportunities for minorities. President Trump's order ensures that Americans' hard-earned taxpayer dollars support unity in our nation instead of promoting radical ideologies that divide Americans by race or sex. This order encourages diversity training that promotes inclusive workplaces where no one feels marginalized because of his or her race or sex. Federal employees and employees of federal contractors have been required to attend training in which they are indoctrinated with radical and harmful instruction. The Department of Treasury instructed employees to avoid narratives that Americans should be more colorblind. That same session promoted the racial idea that virtually all white people, regardless of how woke they are, contribute to racism. Employees at Argonne National Laboratories were told that racism is interwoven into every fabric of America. And folks, this, you know, what do you think they're doing in the public school system, right? Defending our history, President Trump will always protect America's ideals and traditions while defending our nation's incredible history. President Trump has decried the purposeful distortion of America's history and taken action to promote knowledge of our nation's true story, values, and ideals. Just this week, the president brought together scholars in our nation's capital to convene the very first White House Conference on American History. To combat disinformation taught in American schools, the president has announced the 1776 Commission, which will promote patriotic education. President Trump issued an executive order to construct a national garden of American heroes, memorializing the extraordinary people who made positive contributions to America. The president took executive action to ensure that those who seek to destroy and dishonor our history by tearing down our monuments are prosecuted to the fullest extent under the law. Yeah, see, even in and that was part of it too. I mean, I'm not going to get into it. Sorry. Here it is. These are remarks by the president during his the United Nations General Assembly. So this was very interesting and it's very good. I would definitely recommend everybody come to the goldfishreport.blogspot.com and check out the this transcript of what the president had to say. He held China accountable and demanded that the world do the same, that we all hold China accountable for releasing this invisible enemy to the world. And boy, do I have a lot to say about that in the second hour, folks. It's the second hour. So you can come to the blog and take a look at that. Here we have presidential message on American Business Women's Day. First, I'm going to check in with the chat and see how everybody's doing. Thanks, Ascension Radio. I appreciate it. Hi, Slim. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me again. Yeah, it's horrible. Yeah, it's a tough time, but we'll talk about it a little bit in the second hour because it's all related to this fascism. It's related to exactly what we're really talking about in these press releases, quite honestly. So we'll get to that. Let's keep moving along. So presidential message on American Business Women's Day. So on American Business Women's Day, we celebrate the bold and brilliant women who contribute to transform the landscape of our nation's business for the better. America's workforce is strengthened by the talents and contributions of these exceptional mothers, daughters, and sisters who serve as business owners, entrepreneurs, visionaries, and leaders. Today, we recognize these role models for paving the way for women of future generations to succeed while inspiring others to do the same. When women are economically empowered, they reinvest in their families and communities, creating a multiplier effect that spurs economic growth and strengthens the very fabric of our nation. Last year, the unemployment rate for women reached its lowest level since 1953, and for the first time in the history of our nation, women made up a majority of the labor force. Today, a record number of women are leading Fortune 500 companies, and countless more own their own businesses, generating more than $1 trillion in revenue each year. As our country continues its economic comeback from the coronavirus pandemic, these female-led businesses are critical to rebuilding communities by creating jobs for millions of Americans while also providing essential services to affected areas. Okay, so since taking office, the Trump administration has fought to expand opportunities for women in business, ensuring that our country is the best place to simultaneously conduct commerce and raise a family. In the United States, approximately 2/3 of mothers with children under age 6 work and provide financially for their family. My administration has charted a new course that both promotes strong families and addresses the individual needs of women in the workplace. As the largest employer in the United States, I fought to provide 12 weeks of paid parental leave to federal employees, and I doubled the child tax credit, reaching 40 million American families. Most recently, President Trump said he pressed for $3.5 billion in coronavirus relief funding to provide American families with greater access to child care during these unprecedented times. These aggressive actions are integral to keeping talented mothers who want to work in the labor force. So, on this American Business Women's Day, we recommit to ensuring that our economy is a place where all women can thrive. We must continue to empower and to promote women in the workplace because investing in women is investing in a future of economic growth and prosperity for all. And it is absolutely the truth. We have West Wing Reads. Justice Department brands New York City an anarchist jurisdiction, targets federal funds. New York City was among 3 cities labeled anarchist jurisdiction by the Justice Department on Sunday and targeted to lose federal money for failing to control protesters and defunding cops. Stephen Nelson reports for the New York Post. When state and local leaders impede their own law enforcement officers and agencies from doing their jobs, it endangers innocent citizens who deserve to be protected, including those who are trying to peacefully assemble and protest, Attorney General William Barr said. Less than a year after presiding over an impeachment of President Donald Trump without alleging any violations of law, Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi appears open to trying again. The first time around, Mr. Trump was vindicated by a February acquittal in the Senate. This time, the goal would not be to drive him from office, but simply to prevent or at least delay the appropriate functioning of government, James Freeman writes in the Wall Street Journal. As the daughter of a Cuban immigrant, I'm eternally grateful for living and having the opportunity to raise my children in America, but recognize that our freedoms are fragile and should always be protected. I learned that lesson at a young age when my father, Jose, lost his freedoms because he stood and fought against the Cuban dictatorship. Mercedes Schlapp writes for Fox News. Public schools across the country have endorsed the Black Lives Matter movement and encouraged teachers, students, and parents to do the same, with some schools organizing their own BLM protests. The Black Lives Matter movement has been linked to 91% of riots across the United States between May 24th and September 12th, Peter Hassan writes for the Daily Caller. It's very true. We have, let me just check in with my live chat. Hi, everybody. What do you think? I'd like to know what you all think about what is happening with the things that we're talking about here with regard to, having funds these governors and mayors who are implementing these draconian, real fascist agendas, whether you agree that they should have funds withheld. Do you also agree regarding the pro-left propaganda that the public schools are also pushing? And these are also the topics of conversation we're going to have in our second hour on Ascension Radio today. So this is really never a place in a classroom ever. So let's continue on. We have some nominations sent to the Senate. How many do we have here? Let's see. 4 nominations and 1 withdrawal sent to the Senate. We have Charles Atchley Jr. of Tennessee to be United States District Judge for the Eastern District of Tennessee. Catherine Kreitzer of Tennessee to be United States District Judge for Eastern District of Tennessee. Joyce Campbell Guafra of New York to be a member of the National Council on the Arts, and Eric Wendt of California to be Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary of the United States of America to the state of Qatar, or Qatar, some people refer to that. And we have a withdrawal sent as well. So where do we go from here? Here we go. There's a press briefing here, as you can see, by Press Secretary Kayleigh McEnany, and I don't read out the transcripts usually on these reports, so you can go to the goldfishreport.blogspot.com and you can check out the transcript there. And let me make sure that we are screen sharing this screen here. What we have is, yeah, I mean, it's a must watch. If you have missed the president addressing the United Nations, you can come here to the goldfishreport.blogspot.com and you can find the link to the president's address. The president virtually addressed the 75th session of the United Nations General Assembly, where he explained how America is leading the global fight against an invisible enemy that he claimed countless lives in 188 countries. In the United States, we launched the most aggressive mobilization since the Second World War. We rapidly produced a record supply of ventilators, creating a surplus that allowed us to share them with friends and partners around the globe. We pioneered life-saving treatments, reducing our fatality rate 85% since April. Thanks to our efforts, 3 vaccines are in the final stages of clinical trials. We are mass producing them in advance so they can be delivered immediately upon arrival. We will distribute a vaccine. We will defeat the virus. We will end the pandemic, and we will enter a new era of unprecedented prosperity, cooperation, and peace. And I urge everybody to read between those lines. The president told world leaders something else too. As we pursue this bright future, we must hold accountable the nation which unleashed this plague onto the world, China. So let's see what the president has to say here in a little clip. Hopefully it's short. Yeah. Just hold on a second. I'm going to re-screen share that so make sure everybody can see it.
As we pursue this bright future, we must hold accountable the nation which unleashed this plague onto the world, China. In the earliest days of the virus, China locked down travel domestically while allowing flights to leave China and infect the world. China condemned my travel ban on their country, even as they canceled domestic flights and locked citizens in their homes. The Chinese government and the World Health Organization, which is virtually controlled by China, falsely declared that there was no evidence of human-to-human transmission. Later, they falsely said people without symptoms would not spread the disease. The United Nations must hold China accountable for their actions. As we pursue this bright future, we must hold...
Okay, so that's what the president said. That was a short clip of the president's address to the UN General Assembly. Let's continue. No, I'm not on mute. Early this year, the Chinese Communist Party locked down travel in its own country while allowing flights to leave China and infect the world. Then China's leaders condemned President Trump's travel ban even as they canceled domestic flights and locked Chinese citizens in their homes. The World Health Organization, which is virtually controlled by China, falsely declared that there was no evidence of human-to-human transmission. Later, it falsely said people without symptoms would not spread the disease. The United Nations must hold China accountable for their actions, the president said. The coronavirus pandemic is only the latest global problem involving the Chinese government. Each year, China dumps millions of tons of plastic and trash into the world's oceans. It overfishes other countries' waters, destroying vast swaths of coral reef, and emits more toxic mercury into the atmosphere than any country on Earth. For the UN to be effective, it must focus on real problems. China's carbon emissions are nearly twice those of the United States. By contrast, after President Trump withdrew America from the one-sided Paris Climate Accord, last year America reduced its carbon emissions by more than any country in the agreement. Those who attack America's exceptional environmental record while ignoring China's rampant pollution are not interested in the environment. They only want to punish America, and I will not stand for it, President Trump said. If the United Nations is to be an effective organization, it must focus on the real problems of the world, he added. That includes terrorism, drug trafficking, religious persecution, and holding China's government accountable for this horrible pandemic. So here's a link. If you'd like to watch the president's full address, it's a virtual address, so it's done digitally. It's done, whatever video conference application they use. And the full speech is here as well. So there's a link to the transcript and there's a link to the video if you'd like to take a look at that. And here's the president talking to members of the press along the South Lawn driveway. And we have it. Yeah. Okay, so as I switch to a new page on the blog, hi everybody. Thanks, Carolyn, and thanks everybody who's sending me wishes and prayers. I do appreciate it. It's a very difficult time, I have to say. So, but we keep moving along best we can, right? Okay, here we go. We're going to get to the big news. Obviously, that's last. So, what we have here is some updates on the vaccine status. Yeah. Johnson & Johnson launches massive human trial of COVID-19 vaccine. Johnson & Johnson launched a massive human trial of its coronavirus vaccine today, paving the way for another option as the U.S. preps an immunization campaign to defeat the pandemic. Tom Howell Jr. reports for the Washington Times. The Trump administration, through its Operation Warp Speed, is offering unprecedented support to private drug makers as it tries to lock down a successful vaccine before the end of the year. Johnson & Johnson's vaccine candidate is the fourth to enter phase 3 clinical testing. White House advisor Ivanka Trump and Commerce Secretary Wilbur Ross will present the inaugural pledge to America's workers' presidential awards to companies including Volkswagen Group of America and Lockheed Martin at the White House today, which was the other day. Most of the recipients have pledged to offer thousands or hundreds of thousands of training opportunities, Evie Fordham reports for Fox Business News. President Trump signed an executive order expanding a ban on government agencies receiving sensitivity training involving critical race theory to federal contractors. The executive order says the government has prohibited federal contractors from engaging in race or sex discrimination and required contractors to take affirmative action to ensure such discrimination does not occur. Mark Moore reports in the New York Post. U.S. Attorney General William Barr lauded the efforts of law enforcement officers in Operation Legend on Tuesday as new charges were brought against 26 people who were allegedly involved in a violent drug ring out of Milwaukee. Operation Legend has led to 3,500 arrests, about 200 of which were for homicide. Bradford Betts reports for Fox News. Yeah, we have, okay. We also have remarks by the president honoring Bay of Pigs veterans. Again, this is history. Like, how many of those people in those protests know anything about Bay of Pigs? Okay, I just have to, my throat is not well today. Okay, then we move along. And I'm delighted. So the president says, I'm delighted to welcome you to the White House as we honor the Cuban American veterans of the Bay of Pigs invasion. I was honored to receive the endorsement of the Bay of Pigs Veterans Association in 2016, and they gave me a beautiful award, and I have it very proudly on a wall that of great importance to me. And I just understood that once again, I've received your official endorsement and support. Let's move along. So we have reaffirm our ironclad solidarity with the Cuban people and our eternal conviction that freedom will prevail over the sinister forces of communism and evil of many different forms. 60 years ago, these Cuban patriots formed Brigade 2506 in a daring effort to liberate their homeland from the communist Castro regime. Today, we declare America's unwavering commitment to a free Cuba, and you will have that. You will have that very soon. So if you want to read this whole statement, you can come to the blog and read this whole thing. There's people who are identified who were part of this, and especially if you were part of that in some way, or if you have Cuban heritage, and even if you don't. If you want to know more about this, you can. As it states here in history, on April 17th, 1961, the 1,400 Cuban exiles of Brigade 2506 landed at the Bay of Pigs. They were met by fierce airstrikes, by heavy fire, very, very heavy, and 20,000 soldiers from the Castro regime. These brave warriors fought 3 grueling days. The brutal Castro regime imprisoned them for 20 months until the United States negotiated their release. So here the president was honoring these veterans and their families. And if you want to know more about this, you can come to the blog and take a look. There's also one new nomination sent to the Senate. This is Alan Robert Souza of North Carolina to be Inspector General of the Intelligence Community. Great. Sorry. Here we have. Okay. So the president held a news conference and once again, America will never be a socialist or communist country. So this was more about the Bay of Pigs invasion, and he talks a little bit more about this here. As part of America's continuing fight against oppressive socialist regimes, President Trump announced today that the U.S. Treasury will prohibit American travelers from staying at properties owned by the Cuban government. The United States will also further restrict the importation of Cuban alcohol and tobacco products. These actions will ensure that U.S. dollars do not fund the Cuban regime and go directly to the Cuban people, President Trump said. Big difference. The president also recognized Hispanic Heritage Month. Nearly 60,000 Hispanic Americans serve as police officers, and more than 300,000 are part of our great American military. Over half of U.S. Border Patrol agents are of Hispanic heritage as well. Hispanic Americans teach their children to love our country, honor our history, and respect our great American flag. Hispanic Americans embody the American dream. The press secretary from Kelly McEnany, Democrats again show their disregard for our Constitution. Press Secretary Kelly McEnany called out Democrat leaders Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez yesterday for their blatant disregard for the United States Constitution. Their latest stunt, apparently, it is now a high crime and misdemeanor worthy of impeachment for a lawfully elected president of the United States to exercise his constitutional duty to nominate a Supreme Court justice, McEnany said. Over the nearly 30 times the Supreme Court vacancy has occurred during a presidential election year, the sitting president has made a nomination in every single instance. Democrats now view impeachment as a partisan political tool. You can come to the blog and click on that link and you can watch for that. We have a lot to get to, so I'm not going to share every video clip that we have because we want to keep this to under an hour if possible. To block President Trump and the Senate majority from filling the Supreme Court vacancy, House Democrats and their media allies have threatened a second impeachment, or if that isn't enough, to blow up the entire system. Whoa. Okay, this president will proceed undaunted by Democrat threats. President Trump will fulfill his duty. President Trump will appoint the next Supreme Court justice. And of course, you can watch the press secretary's statement on this as well. And here's a photo of the president delivering remarks honoring Bay of Pigs veterans. We have more transcripts here of the president, and of course, the president also approved the disaster declaration for Florida. Okay, let me just check in and say hello to everybody before we continue. Yeah, thank you, Slim. I will. I'm just drinking some warm tea right now. I've had yeah, my throat. Some of it's from the shouting arguments I got in with some people. You know, rightfully so. I mean, I'm going to talk about it in the second hour. I went to have my Apple devices maintained, you know, a battery replacement today, and I was met with basically with the with SS officers essentially at the Apple store, which I'm going to talk about today in the second hour. So let's move along. And there was a screaming match. Yeah, it's just too much, man. And I had my mask on my face, so they weren't happy with how I was wearing it. And, you know, they denied me service and we got into a screaming match. And I mean, it was ugly. And my throat is sore. And other things happened that I'm not going to talk about. But when is this fascism going to end, right, folks? It's too much. So let's move along. Yeah. It's been happening a lot lately. It's just, you know, they just don't know when to end, right? They don't know. Okay. Dangerous Chinese counterfeit goods are pouring into America. Here's how we stop it. Over the course of 14 months, blitz operations, a decidedly unlucky 13% of made-in-China packages inspected have contained a type of counterfeit product or other contraband that can defraud, harm, or even kill Americans. Right. Customs and Border Protection Commissioner Mark Morgan and Assistant to the President Peter Navarro in Fox Business. On a daily basis, nearly 90,000 Americans are being assaulted in one form or another through small parcel mail by unscrupulous made-in-China exporters. The Department of Justice introduced draft legislation to Congress yesterday aimed at curtailing big tech's liability shields. Currently, online platforms have been able to weaponize government protections initially implemented to encourage stripping down obscene content to selectively censor unwelcome narrative, i.e., conservative viewpoints, Tristan Justice reports in The Federalist. In an effort to prevent potential COVID-19 outbreaks in high-risk communities, the Trump administration said it has started shipping rapid coronavirus tests to more than 36 historically Black colleges and universities. Each school is expected to receive between 3,000 and 10,000 tests initially, and they will be resupplied as often as they need. Francesca Chambers and Grace Asibu report for McClatchy, D.C. Since the city of Portland disbanded its gun violence reduction team July 1st, shootings have increased and homicide hit a 30-year high. According to Portland Police Association President Darrell Turner, Portland Mayor and Police Commissioner Ted Wheeler has realized defunding the police force was a mistake. You think? Oh my goodness. Who would have known? Angelica Stabile reports. Read more in Fox News. You think, folks? You think it's a bad idea? I mean, good grief, huh? We have a transcript here of a press briefing with Secretary Kelly McEnany, and then we have remarks by the president. We also have on the record call by senior administration officials on President Trump's healthcare vision for America. So this is a big deal. This is a very big deal, and I'm not going to go into this because we do have we do have another a statement here, another publication by the White House that outlines this. So we're going to read the outline of it, and if you want to read the entire text, and if you want to read the transcript here, you may do so at thegoldfishreport.blogspot.com. But this is basically what it's about. We have an executive order on America First healthcare plan. Okay, excuse me. Excuse me. Since January 20, 2017, my administration has been committed to the goal of bringing great healthcare to the American people and putting patients first. To that end, my administration has taken monumental steps to improve the efficiency and quality of healthcare in the United States. Okay, so on December 22nd, 2017, President Trump signed into law the repeal of the burdensome individual mandate penalty. How ridiculous, right? Liberating millions of low-income Americans from a tax that penalized them for not purchasing health care insurance coverage they did not want or could not afford. Through Executive Order 13813 of October 12, 2017, promoting healthcare choice and competition across the United States, President Trump's administration has expanded coverage options for millions of Americans in several ways. And I'm going to go through this in more detail when we do the summary, which is coming up right now. So it was President Trump traveled to Charlotte, North Carolina. This was September 24th, where he unveiled his America First healthcare plan. We will ensure the highest standard of care anywhere in the world, cutting-edge treatments, state-of-the-art medicine, groundbreaking cures, and true health security for you and your loved ones, the president said. Let's see a little clip of the president talking about this, since this is such an important topic for everybody.
Better care with more. In short, we're delivering better care with more choice at a much lower cost and working to ensure Americans have access to the care they need. My plan expands affordable insurance options, reduces the cost of prescription drugs, will end surprise medical billing, increases fairness through price transparency, streamlines bureaucracy, accelerates innovation, strongly protects Medicare, and always protects patients with pre-existing conditions.
Yeah. So there you have it. He unveiled that there, and you can get more information on that. Hi, everybody. Hi, everybody. I'm just checking in to see how everyone in the live chat's doing. Yeah, I'll try that, Slim. I appreciate it. Thank you, everybody, PCG and everybody else. I appreciate you guys as well. I truly do. Let's continue, because I want to try to keep this under an hour. You know, it's hard to do that sometimes. Okay. But we're going to try. I'm going to try. Sorry. Okay. Where do we go? The America First plan has three goals: more choice, lower costs, and better health and better care. It includes protections for pre-existing conditions, as the president just said, and measures to stop surprise medical bills, and rules to guarantee price transparency so patients aren't left completely in the dark. Yeah, love those surprise medical bills, right? So the hospital bills you for the radiologist, and then the radiologist bills you for the radiologist. Double billing. Okay, unlike socialized medicine, President Trump's plan puts working families first with more choice. Patients will be in charge of their care, not bureaucrats at some faraway federal agency. When President Trump took office, more than half of U.S. counties offered plans from only a single insurer provider on the individual market. As of next month, more than 90% of American counties will have multiple options to choose from. Okay. Lower costs. For years, patients have been shocked to receive unexpected bills for thousands of dollars in medical services when they never even agreed to. President Trump's plan bans this deeply unfair practice and ends surprise medical billing. The days of ripping off American patients are over, he said. Well, I'm happy to see that. Better care. With new ways for Medicare to pay providers, Americans will have access to doctors they trust whenever they're needed. President Trump is also making sure that politicians don't get in the way of much needed research and innovation, ensuring Americans access to the best health care in the world. President Trump's plan puts American patients first. Unfortunately, under pressure from the far left, Democrats have endorsed health care legislation that would result in rationing care, keeping patients on wait lists, and driving the best doctors away from practicing medicine. The Democrat Party is pushing a socialist nightmare, President Trump said. Americans want real choice, affordability, and quality in their medical care. They don't want radical politicians playing games with their health and safety to get votes. Under this president, America's families and seniors will always be protected. If you want to read about the president's uh, plan, you can come to the goldfishreport.blogspot.com, and here is a link to the text. Okay. Photo of the day. We have President Trump signs an executive order on the America First healthcare plan in Charlotte, North Carolina. There's going to be a little bit more. We're going to talk about this. So again, to recap, President Trump signed the first executive order in American history to declare it is the policy of the federal government to protect individuals with pre-existing conditions and ensure that they have access to care they can afford. President Trump will improve access to direct primary care arrangements that cut out the middleman and cut red tape to enable patients to spend more time with their doctors. President Trump will also invest in critical areas, including pediatric cancer, sickle cell disease, and Alzheimer's research, providing more choice. President Trump has repealed Obamacare's individual mandate penalty and given states and individuals access to more affordable options. President Trump has expanded the availability of affordable health care options like association health plans, health reimbursement arrangements, and short-term limited duration plans. President Trump will give Americans more flexibility in how and where they receive care by investing in telehealth and permanently expanding seniors' access to telehealth services. Delivering lower costs. President Trump is dramatically lowering healthcare costs for Americans. Today, President Trump signed an executive order to end surprise billing and announced the Trump administration will send prescription drug discount cards to over 33 million seniors. That's big, folks. President Trump announced that they will send prescription drug discount cards to over 33 million seniors. I hope for everyone who's listening, who's a senior, that comes as good news to you. The Trump administration also finalized a rule that will allow the import of prescription drugs from Canada and proposed a rule to allow low-income Americans to purchase affordable insulin and EpiPens at nearly 10,000 federal clinic locations. Already, premiums for Medicare plans and coverage in the individual market have decreased under President Trump after increasing significantly under the prior administration. Over the next 4 years, President Trump will continue his drive to lower costs for American patients, starting with requiring hospitals and insurance companies to make their prices transparent. President Trump will work to ensure that the prices Americans pay for prescription drugs, especially through Medicare, are the lowest among peer nations. Mhm. There's more remarks here by the president. This is a transcript. You can come here to the blog and you can take a look at that if you'd like more information on it. And, just to recap by the press secretary, she says President Donald J. Trump's healthcare vision is putting America first by providing higher quality healthcare at lower costs for patients. Since taking office, the president has been committed to putting healthcare back in the hands of the American people, where it belongs. The Trump administration has taken unprecedented actions to lower prescription drug prices, end surprise medical billing, reduce the price of insulin, protect people with pre-existing conditions, and allow the American people to keep their doctors. This bold and dynamic plan is providing the hardworking men and women of our country more choice, better care, and lower cost. For more on the President's America's Health Care Plan, click here. You can come to the blog and you can read more about it. Okay, let me just check in real quick with all of our live chat. Hi, everybody. Just checking in. Conway, Adam, Ohm444, Morgan, PCG, everybody. Thank you. Jake, thank you for joining me. PCG, Gary, Beach Lover. Thanks, everybody. I do appreciate you being here. This is strictly about the president here. The second hour, we're going to be having a conversation about the state of affairs with regard to the whole COVID situation, and that will be only on Ascension Radio following this report. So we'll move along. We have a proclamation by the president on Gold Star Mothers and Families Day. The brave men and women of our armed forces represent the very best of our great nation, matched only by the families who walk beside them in their service. It is our sacred duty to recognize the unending and immeasurable sacrifices our military families make in support of their loved ones and for our country. And we are cognizant of the fortitude they show enduring the anguish of knowing that their hero may never return home. On this Gold Star Mothers and Families Day, we solemnly honor the memory of every lost soldier, sailor, airman, Marine, and Coast Guardsman, and we humbly grieve with their families who persevere with remarkable courage, strength, and grace. Today and every day we hold in our hearts those who have answered the knock on the door, accepted the flag folded with precision, said their final farewell, and borne the absence of their fallen hero. Gold Star families deserve our utmost respect, admiration, and support for their tenacity and resilience and for the work they do to preserve the memory of those who gave their lives to our nation. I'm sorry, excuse me. I really need to mute that. There we go. Let me see. I'm trying to preserve my voice right now. Americans of every generation owe a debt of gratitude to the men and women who gave their lives in service to this nation and to their families, who remain forever changed. On this solemn day of remembrance, we hold these families in our hearts, remember them in our prayers, support them in our words and deeds, and join them in honoring their heroes' ultimate sacrifice. May God provide them continued strength, comfort, and care, and may God bless the United States of America. So here it is, the Congress by Senate Joint Resolution 115 of June 23rd, 1936, has designated the last Sunday in September as Gold Star Mother's Day. And so this president proclaimed that Sunday, September 27th, 2020, as Gold Star Mothers and Families Day, and called upon the government officials to display the flag of the United States of our government buildings over our government buildings rather, on this special day. Wow. I really hope it doesn't annoy you all that I'm constantly clearing my throat. It's been okay. Statement from the press secretary regarding the United States United Kingdom Special Relationship Economic Working Group meeting. Okay. The United States and the United Kingdom convened the second Special Relationship Economic Working Group meeting at the White House on September 24th, 25th, 2020. Assistant to the President for Economic Policy and Director of the National Economic Council, Larry Kudlow, and Director General in the Cabinet Office for Economy and Trade, Jonathan Black, led the United States and United Kingdom delegations, respectively. Senior officials from both governments discussed collaboration on a wide range of issues, including economic security, investment screening, supply chain resilience, telecommunications security, innovation, emerging technologies, and economic prosperity. Mr. Kudlow said President Trump sees the United States-United Kingdom special relationship as a beacon for prosperity and the rule of law internationally. This alliance, unlike any other, continues to shine on both sides of the Atlantic for those who seek out the liberty of free market capitalization as the best path to that prosperity. Our shared principles reflect our optimism in free markets to deliver the conditions for economic growth to benefit everyday hardworking citizens. The United Kingdom Chancellor Rishi Sunak said the long-standing special relationship between our two countries is crucial, now more than ever. We must continue building on our enduring economic partnership to secure a strong and sustainable economic recovery from this crisis at home and abroad. As part of the meeting, the United States and the United Kingdom signed a declaration on cooperation in artificial intelligence research and development. This historic agreement demonstrates the shared commitment of our two nations to drive technological breakthroughs in artificial intelligence that will strengthen our collective economic prosperity and national security far into the future. Well, that'll be interesting, right? The United States and the United Kingdom share an unbreakable bond through our enduring special relationship. Ooh, you know, folks, I'd love to really see how they define that special relationship, wouldn't you? You mean as a colony? Our work together on economic issues is vital to protecting our shared democratic values worldwide. The United States looks forward to continuing to work with our United Kingdom allies through the Special Relationship Economic Working Group to ensure the economic security and prosperity of the American and British people. Okay. Special relationships. So don't you love those special relationships? Okay. So we have 5 stories the president does not want you to miss. We already talked about America First healthcare plan aimed at protecting pre-existing conditions. So we've already discussed that. The problem with conventional wisdom is that it is always wrong. The rub is that the majority of experts unthinkingly and habitually mouth its validity until they ensure that it becomes static, unchanging, and immune from re-examination and dissent. an intolerant religious orthodoxy that finally becomes dangerous. Victor Davis Hanson writes in the National Review regarding when conventional wisdom gets downright dangerous. So, Supreme Court Justice confirmations in election year are common despite Dems' complaints. Confirming Supreme Court justices when both parties control the White House and Senate in an election year is perfectly normal. Indeed, it may be the most normal thing Washington does in this most unusual year. Senator Mike Lee of Utah writes, "Now the left is issuing threats. If Republicans exercise political power, Democrats will respond by abusing theirs." White House targets historically black colleges for rapid COVID-19 tests. In an effort to prevent potential COVID-19 outbreaks in high-risk communities, the Trump administration said it had started shipping rapid coronavirus tests to more than 36 historically black colleges and universities. Each school is expected to receive between 3,000 and 10,000 tests initially, and they will be resupplied as often as they need. More than 300 people from 29 states arrested for crimes under guise of peaceful protests, Justice Department says. More than 40 of the 94 U.S. attorneys' offices have filed charges alleging crimes including arson, burglary, and felon in possession of a firearm and ammunition, among others, Marlo Safi reports. While peaceful protests have taken place, riots have erupted in many cities, causing extensive damage and even resulting in numerous deaths, according to the Daily Caller. Let's hear what the president says about this. I think it's an important clip to play. If I can let me screen share this. Uh-oh. I am screen sharing. Sorry. Let me make sure I'm screen sharing. Wait a second. Alrighty. What have we got?
Well, I think that peaceful protest is number one. It's fine to do that in a peaceful manner. But when it gets less than peaceful, as you see all over, then it's unacceptable. And that's where law and order is necessary. And that's where law enforcement is very important. Jennifer? Well,
there you have it. That's what the president thinks about that, in his own words. Okay, we have presidential determination on the withdrawal of certain areas of the United States outer continental shelf from leasing disposition. So this is a memo to the Secretary of the Interior. Okay, the president says, under the authority granted to me in Section 12A of the Outer Continental Shelf Lands Act, 43 U.S.C. 1341A, I hereby withdraw from disposition by leasing for 10 years, beginning on July 1st, 2022, and ending on June 30th, 2032. The portion of the area designated by the Bureau of Ocean Energy Management as the Mid-Atlantic Planning Area that lies south of the northern administrative boundary of North Carolina as the administrative boundary is depicted on the attached map entitled Atlantic NAD 83 Federal Outer Continental Shelf Administrative Boundaries and extending east from the coordinate point described here. I'm not going to read all those latitude points and longitude points. So it's about 200 nautical miles off the coastline to the offshore point. Okay, this withdrawal prevents consideration of this area for any leasing for purposes of exploration, development, or production during the 10-year period. This withdrawal does not apply to leasing for environmental conservation purposes, including the purpose of shore protection, beach nourishment and restoration, wetlands restoration, and habitat protection. Okay, there you have it. Now, most important executive order, protecting vulnerable newborn and infant children. By the authority vested in me as President, by the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America, it is hereby ordered as follows. every infant born alive, no matter the circumstances of his or her birth, has the same dignity and the same rights as every other individual and is entitled to the same protections under federal law. Such laws include the Emergency Medical Treatment and Labor Act, which guarantees in hospitals that have an emergency department each individual's right to an appropriate medical screening examination and to either stabilizing treatment or an appropriate transfer. They also include Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act, which prohibits discrimination against individuals with disabilities by programs and activities receiving federal funding. In addition, the Born Alive Infants Protection Act makes clear that all infants born alive are individuals for purposes of these and other federal laws and are therefore afforded the same legal protections as any other person. Together, these laws help protect infants born alive from discrimination in the provision of medical treatment, including infants who require emergency medical treatment, who are premature, or who are born with disabilities. Such infants are entitled to meaningful and non-discriminatory access to medical examination and services, with the consent of a parent or guardian they present at the hospital receiving federal funds. When they present there. Despite these laws, some hospitals refuse the required medical screening examination and stabilizing treatment, or otherwise do not provide potentially life-saving medical treatment to extremely premature or disabled infants, even when parents plead for such treatment. Hospitals might refuse to provide treatments to extremely premature infants born alive before 24 weeks of gestation, before they believe these infants may not survive. They have the right, they may, they have they may have to live with long-term disabilities or may have a quality of life deemed to be inadequate. Active treatment of extremely premature infants has, however, been shown to improve their survival rates. And the denial of such treatment or discouragement of parents from seeking such treatment for their children devalues the lives of these children and may violate federal law. There you have it. Please come and take a look at this. It's a long executive order here, but the president did what the president said he was going to do: protect the lives of the unborn and of those born alive. Okay, let's see. Sorry, I guess I wasn't screen sharing that one. Here we go. So here are 5 stories the president doesn't want you to miss. So we have the America's Healthcare Plan rolled out, which we talked about. Okay, I already screen shared this. Sorry about that. Let me go back and see which ones are next. Okay, there's a proclamation on National Hunting and Fishing Day. Oh, like we really need that, but whatever. If you want to know about this, you can come to the blog because we're already late. I wanted to start the second hour on Ascension Radio, but we're already a little bit late here. Actually, I don't even see Ascension Radio. I don't know what happened to them. They kind of, where'd you go? Okay. Interesting. Somehow they dropped yeah. Somehow we lost the connection with Ascension Radio right now. Whatever. So I guess I'll do that another time, right? So it's a proclamation on National Hunting and Fishing Day. American hunters, anglers, and outdoorsmen are entrusted with stewardship of these treasured blessings, sustaining our lands and waters through recreation and conservation efforts. These men and women also make substantial contributions to local economies, supporting individuals and communities and preserving longstanding American sporting traditions. So do Girl Scouts, but they don't kill anybody, but that's another story. Okay, so come here and take a look at this. There's, I'm trying to wrap this up. Hold on. We're not there yet. There's transcripts here by the president if you want to come and take a look at some of the comments that he made from the press. We have a presidential message on the National Day of Prayer and Return. So on September 26th, so that is today. On this inaugural National Day of Prayer and Return, the First Lady and I join millions of Christians here in the United States and around the world in prayer as we turn our hearts to our Lord and Savior. Our great nation was founded by men and women of deep and abiding faith, a faith that has stood the test of time 400 years ago. Early American settlers trusted their lives to His providence and braved a voyage to a new world. From the pilgrims who sought His protection aboard the Mayflower to the countless believers who today bow their head to ask for His guidance. During these unprecedented times, our country continues to turn to the Lord. Following in our ancestors' footsteps, we continue the firm reliance on the protection of divine providence that provides us enduring strength and reassurance in our times of need. Yes, so you can read more about that. I want to try to wrap this up. Here's photos of the week, folks. These are cool pictures. Of course, is the president. My God, how many rallies has he attended this week? What, 5 or 6, 7? I don't know. I've lost count. Here we have more photos of the press conferences at the White House. We can just keep going through this. More photos of the president. It's just an awesome sight to see him coming out of that behemoth airplane there. And of course, you have Jared Kushner and Ivanka Trump and their children also preparing to board or greeting the president, whichever that was. Here's more photos of the president honoring the veterans of the Bay of Pigs and event. And here's some more photos of the president. Interesting, though. Very interesting. This is on protecting consumers from social media abuses. I hope those who need to listen are listening, right? So here we have it. Here's some more press. Here's the president at a press conference. And yeah. Here we have the Vice President and Second Lady paying their respects to Associate Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg as she lies in repose at the United States Supreme Court in Washington, D.C. So there you have it. And here's the President and First Lady doing the same. More pictures of them paying their respects, final respects to Associate Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Yeah. President talking about his America First healthcare plan. And here, this is an executive order on America First healthcare plan with some people attending with the president. Okay, and President, again, boarding Air Force One. He's been so busy, very, very busy. Come to the blog, take a look at these pictures, and let me just check in with our live chat and see how everybody's doing. Okay, Ascension Radio. Okay, did you pick it up off of the link because you're not in the Zoom? So I guess you're picking it up off the YouTube. Okay, all right, that's good. I'm used to seeing you in the in the box over here. Okay, so let's go back to, we're almost done. We're finishing this up. You know, I usually do a midweek report. I did not do one. It's been a difficult week for me, folks, just very difficult. So, what we know now, the headlines, the big news of the day is that the president did make a selection. As he said, he was going to choose a woman, and his choice is Judge Amy Coney Barrett. She has exceptional legal experience, expertise, and judicial record make her the right choice to serve on the Supreme Court. Here we go. Judge Amy Coney Barrett's exceptional legal experience, as we just read, make her the right choice to serve on the Supreme Court. Judge Barrett's extensive experience as a professor and litigator, record of academic success, and outstanding judicial record make her an excellent choice to serve on the Supreme Court. Judge Barrett is currently serving the American people on the 7th Circuit Court of Appeals. Judge Barrett has demonstrated a steadfast dedication to upholding the Constitution as written and not legislating from the bench. Judge Barrett's excellent judicial record shows she will protect the rights of Americans and defend the rule of law. Judge Barrett's character and work ethic have earned her awards and bipartisan praise from the legal community. Judge Barrett's colleagues at Notre Dame Law School signed a letter supporting her 2017 nomination, calling her a model of the fair, impartial, and sympathetic judge. In 2017, a bipartisan group of law professors, including professors from Harvard and Stanford and other law schools around the country, urged the Senate Judiciary Committee to confirm Judge Barrett to the Seventh Circuit, describing her work as rigorous, fair-minded, respectful, and conservative. The American Bar Association rated Judge Barrett as well qualified in 2017. Exceptional qualifications. Judge Amy Coney Barrett brings a wealth of experience from her time in private practice, academia, and public service. Since 2017, Judge Barrett has served on the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Seventh Circuit after she was nominated by President Trump and confirmed on a bipartisan vote. Judge Barrett was appointed by Chief Justice John Roberts to sit on the Advisory Committee of Federal Rules of Appellate Procedure, where she served from 2010 to 2016. After graduating from law school, Judge Barrett clerked for D.C. Circuit Judge Lawrence Silberman and for the Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia. Judge Barrett practiced both trial and appellate litigation in Washington, D.C. at Miller, Cassidy, LaRocca, and Lewin, and at Baker Botts. I presume these are law firms. Judge Barrett worked for more than 15 years in academia, shaping the next generation of legal minds and supporting the professional development of her students. Proven record of success. Judge Amy Coney Barrett has received numerous awards as a result of her excellence as a legal scholar and professor. Judge Barrett graduated summa cum laude from Notre Dame Law School and received the Hoynes Prize for achieving the best record in scholarship, deportment, and achievement. Maybe it's Hoynes Prize, I suppose. At Rhodes College, Judge Barrett graduated with multiple highly respected honors, including induction into Phi Beta Kappa. At Notre Dame Law School, she received the John M. Olin Fellowship for Aspiring Academics and earned a tenure-track faculty position. Judge Barrett was later awarded the Diane and M.O. Miller II Research Chair in Law. 3 graduating classes at Notre Dame Law have selected Judge Barrett as the Distinguished Professor of the Year. Judge Barrett served as a visiting associate professor of law at the University of Virginia Law School. Judge Barrett's scholarly work has been published in several prominent journals, including the Columbia Law Review, Virginia Law Review, and the Texas Law Review. So she looks obviously quite qualified. And that's the president's announcement of his nominee for the Associate Justice of the Supreme Court of the United States. So let's just see if we have a little clip here of that. Well, I think that it's a long press conference, so I'm not gonna show that one. Let me see if I can find that on Twitter. So that's basically it. We're still waiting for Joe Biden's Supreme Court list, which has not been provided yet. And yeah, that's a mystery, right? So let's see if I can find a clip of the president before we leave. But quite honestly, there's so much more to report on, but I wasn't able to do a midweek report this week. Whoa. So this is a picture of Judge Barrett's family. with her family and her husband. 7 children. There you go. That's the family. I think that's a wonderful, wonderful picture. It's very sweet. So that's what I have for you guys today. It's 9:19 on the East Coast. Thank you all very, very much for your support and for showing up at the Goldfish Report tonight. We were suspended on YouTube for 3 weeks. Just had a different opinion about COVID-19 and things of that matter, and had different facts, and we were suspended for that, and we have received a strike against our channel. So you knew this is going to happen, right? And this is an election year. We're just 45 days away. Are we 45 days away? So 40, something like that. 40 days away from the from November 3rd, from Election Day. So it's going to be interesting, folks. Yeah, I'm not going to talk about other topics that are not related to the president. This is a POTUS report. And so folks, I'm going to move along to our second hour over on Ascension Radio exclusively. So for those of you who are following along on YouTube, thank you so much. It's good to be back, and it's good to see everybody. We were absent only due to the censorship, but we are back now, and we are hoping and praying that that we're going to be staying. So that's a good thing. So yeah, Sally is saying that regarding this judge, that she said she would consult with the Pope. I mean, she's not going to consult with the Pope on constitutional issues, Sally. That's not how it works. She stated in her testimony when she was confirmed for the Seventh Circuit that her faith, although important to her, is separate from her judgment on the law. So I already read about the preventing online censorship. Yes, it doesn't matter. It doesn't stop them from doing it. I've reported on the executive order of preventing online censorship, but they do it anyway, right? So unless you guys want to start a legal defense fund for me, which, if you'd like to do that, that would be wonderful. Please start one, and then I can do something about it. But you see, it doesn't matter if there's a law, folks. You have to be able to afford an attorney to get those rights enforced. That's how it works in America. So everybody, I do hope that you have a great weekend. I do appreciate and thank all of you for joining us, and for those who help support the Goldfish Report. And so our Me Monday reports are only available to our Patreons. So it's a special bonus for making a commitment and supporting the Goldfish Report on a monthly basis. You get to have exclusive weekly access to our Me Monday reports, in addition to early access of our exclusive interviews, some of our exclusive interviews, early pre-public access. So those are benefits to being a Patreon of the Goldfish Report. And to all those who don't use Patreon and make a contribution via our website, we thank you for your support as well. And if you would like to get access to those links, please email me at thegoldfishreport@gmail.com. So yeah, there's a lot of problems with the legal system. I agree. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to continue over onto Ascension Radio, and I'm going to put the link in the description box for everybody. Okay. Does everybody see that? There's the link. If you'd like to follow us over on Ascension Radio, feel free. We are going to have a conversation about I have some other news to be reporting about relating to some of the topics that we talked about in this report tonight. They are, let me see what we have here. They are regarding, it's regarding some of these executive orders that the president signed. Okay, I can make it upload thumbnail. Hold on a second. Has to do with some other topics that I don't even want to really, I don't even want to actually get into on YouTube because of our, strike status, of course. So I don't want to, and it's forcing me to censor what I'm talking about. And since there's two strikes, in my opinion, unfairly against this channel, I'm not going to take the third strike. I'm not going to take a chance or a risk. So we're going to go over to Ascension Radio, and you can also follow us on BitChute because, as you know, our BitChute on BitChute we do post all of our reports there as well. So I do appreciate. I do appreciate all of our viewers who follow us there. Oh my God, they're such I can't believe what's going on BitChute, though. They're getting really crazy when it comes to allowing spam and trolls and things like that. So hopefully they'll be able to edit that a little bit. It's a little bit crazy there. Yeah. 75. Just bear with me for 1 minute. So everybody, follow us over on Ascension Radio. I have the link there, and I do appreciate everyone who tuned in tonight. I'm so glad to be back. I hope to see you guys more, and stay on our keep a presence on social media. So this is really important. So that's important that we do that. So thank you, everybody. So let's go over to I put the link right there in the in the live chat. So if you'd like to yeah, well, no, Fetzer, we do our reports only on BitChute, Fetzer. So oh my God. All right, guys, behave. I'm signing off. Thank you for joining us, everyone. And this concludes this edition of the GoldFish Report. Have a great weekend.